friends, and we're going to see how long we can do this live here on TikTok before someone walks in. And I'm trying to get out as much information as I possibly can. Your questions are welcome, but please keep your questions. Questions will be, on par with the conversation. So, yesterday, we're sitting here in the lounge, and a group comes in. Depending upon the group, we have different conversations. So one of the conversations yesterday, we started to expound on, I began to expound on the true secret to happiness in life. And what most religions try to teach you is not going to actually bring you happiness. Most of them want you to find your happiness after you've left this earth, after you left this matter world existence. But instead, yesterday, I began to pretty much teach the room that true happiness first comes from knowing who you are. That is the first step, is finding out exactly who you are, learning who you are. Because you can never, ever, ever reach any point of happiness if you're trying to live a life that someone else has determined is happiness for you. Meaning that most of us live in a Western cultured world. In a Western cultured world, there's a certain financial point to which you are to find happiness. And everybody is supposed to find this one particular financial point. Like there's a level. Like if I can make six figures, like in order for you to be happy in a Western world, you have to make six figures. But that's not true. In order for you to find happiness, you have to have children, but that's not true. You have to find a spouse, but that's not true. All these different things, you have to have a house. You have to live this way or that way, but none of those things are actually true in you having the ability to become happy. The only way that you can figure out to be happy, you first have to get to know you. And unfortunately, most people don't know themselves. Most people, as I said, walk around thinking that what the masses have said is happiness, that's what happiness is. But when you truly know yourself, you can then determine what happiness is. But one young lady, she asked the question, well, how would I know that? How would I be able to determine that, figure that out? Like, what's the process? And I told her most people are not willing to go through this process. Most people don't really want to do what's necessary in order to be happy. They want some level of instant gratification in order for them to find happiness, but in order for them to know themselves enough to find happiness. And one of the ways that I love to teach people when I'm working with them on how to find happiness is going through the process of opening your chakras. Not that you have to follow that in any religious content, but when you understand and learn how to open your chakras, you have to go through a process of internalizing, going through a process of understanding who you are internally and going through your past and truly facing who you are, truly facing what people have done to you, truly facing what conditionings you have fallen under in order for you to really begin to know who you are and open your chakras. It's a fairly simple statement, but it's very hard to do. For instance, if we started with the first chakra, and I started this last night with the group, I said, okay, your first chakra, and mind you, there are like hundreds of chakras, but your first primary chakra is at your base of your spine, and that one is represents foundation and security. But most people don't realize that it's blocked by fear, and the reason why they haven't ever opened that first chakra, and because all of them have to open up in order for you to truly know who you are and truly develop, if you want to call it a Christ mind or a Buddha head, whichever one you want to call it, they have to realize that it's blocked by fear. So the question of being able to identify who you are and being able to then move into a point of happiness is to ask yourself the question is, what are the things that you actually fear? Now, some people, they're going to lie to themselves and say, well, I fear nothing. I have no fear. I don't have any fear. I'm not afraid of any person. I'm not afraid of any government. I'm not afraid of any situation. But most people live a life in fear of something. Like, most people could not have done their business the way that I did my gourmet popcorn shop. I had to live in the back. I lived in the back of my store for 6 years. The fear of starting a business and possibly having to live in your store for 6 years will prevent a lot of people from ever getting started in a business. They need guaranteed success. Having a need for guarantees denotes that you live in a certain amount of fear. That fear controls some of your decisions. Now, there are healthy doses of concern. If I start a business, if things don't go the way I've business planned for them to go, what are my alternatives? What are my plans? How will I accommodate those situations? But when you allow fear to lock you up, if I get into this relationship with this woman or with this man, and if they decide to treat me poorly, if they decide to leave me, if they don't love me, and the relationship ends, and I have to go through this level of depression or anguish or embarrassment because I posted them all over my social media, well, you know what? I'd rather just not be in a relationship. I'm fine. I'm taking time to get to know me. I'm spending time with me. No, you're living in fear of losing another love. And that's one reason why your heart chakra is not open, because your heart chakra is closed because you lost some love and you haven't opened yourself up to new love. But it's supported by the fear that you have of what you would go through if you lost another love. What the fear of what you would go through, and as a man, what you would go through of the financial loss that you would have if you go through another relationship. So that fear locks you down. That fear keeps you from opening up. And just like anything that has a flow to it, because like the earth vibrates at a certain frequency. That frequency of 432 that the earth vibrates at is a natural flowing, all things are healed, working properly frequency. But when the earth needs to heal itself, it starts vibrating at 528. Now at 528 is a healing frequency, so it changes to a healing frequency. If you get your body in tune with the earth, that's how your body functions as well. Where you are in tune with the earth, we just have so many negative things coming at us that we are vibrating incorrectly. So just like if you don't open that chakra and get over your fears, especially your greatest fears, your greatest fear of love or losing love, your greatest fear of, for most people, they walk around with a fear of going to hell, some type of hell, whether it's a Christian hell, a Muslim hell, or Jewish oblivion, or Buddhist reincarnation into something stupid. Most people, Hindu people, oh, Durga may come and get me. We live in this fear. So we go to church, mosque, synagogue. We do things that we hate. We don't want to eat a certain diet. We don't want to pray a certain, we got to pray. We got to eat this way. We got to recognize this holiday. We got to read this book, read that book. We got to do all these things because I'm only doing it not for the love of God or the love of family, love of whatever the spirituality is, but I'm doing it because I fear the negative response. So that fear holds you into a captivity of not being able to move forward in your life. But once you realize that all these fears are false, and I know people like to say false evidence appearing real. I am more akin to fear representing face everything. What was it? Face everything and respond, or forget everything and run. There are certain situations where you need to forget everything and run. Certain relationships, you need to forget everything and run. Certain businesses, forget everything and run. In the same way, if a lion were to walk through this door, I'm going to forget everything in here and run my ass out that back door. So, but in life, we have to realize when we need to forget everything and run. Call it a loss. When I had my gyms, and the housing economy bubble burst, and the areas I was in began to become affected. By 2010, I forgot everything and ran because there was no opportunity to face everything and respond. Now, if you're in a relationship and the person hasn't done something that is a deal breaker for you, if they haven't shown any sorrow, if they're not showing you, if they're showing you, like, let me rephrase, they're not showing you a deal breaker. So there's no reason to forget everything and run. There are some issues, but now it's time to face everything and respond. That is how you open your chakra, your foundation chakra. That is how you overcome fear, is to face everything and respond, or forget everything and run, relative to what it is on the pole, relative to what the possibility of increasing the vibration and moving towards the side of happiness in that relationship. It comes down to you dealing with it, or realizing that it is not worth you dealing with at all and moving on. But when you move on, you have to shake it off. Leave it where it is. Don't ever worry about it again, think about it again, concern yourself about it again. There are certain relationships with different people, both male and female, people who were my friends, women who I had intimate relationships with. For some of them, things got so bad, it was forget it and run, but I haven't given it a second thought. I don't concern myself with anything they may be saying. There was a guy friend of mine. When I got divorced from my first wife, I've been married a few times. Because I got divorced, his wife was angry. I understand that. And I understand that he and I couldn't have the friendship we had before because he has to take care of his home. But the way he turned his back on me, after everything that we had been through, it was forget everything and run. I have not spoken to this person in, it's 2008, so 14 years. We have not spoken. I have not concerned myself with their life. I have not concerned myself with anything about it. And this was a brother. You understand? There are certain women that I have dated. Yeah, it's cold, but it's life. There are certain women that I've dated, and things ended poorly, but there was a healthy respect. I'm still cool with them. The response to them is, this is the level of a relationship that we can have. It can never be anything more than this. This is the relationship. So I'm good with that. There have been others who tried to destroy my character. Forget everything and run. I can care less about whatever they're doing in their life right now. It doesn't matter to me. You see, that gives me a sense of peace because I don't have any fear. I don't fear. I don't fear if the business I have right now fails. True, I will do everything I possibly can to ensure that my cigar lounge and my gourmet popcorn shop is successful. But at the end of the day, if they don't, if something happens that causes it to fail, and most of the time if something happens, it'll be my fault because I will take full responsibility for it. But what I don't do is sit around in fear of it failing. Well, what would happen if it doesn't work? Where will I live? Where will I get money from? How will I be able to feed myself? How will I be able to keep shelter? How will I be able to get around? Those are not my concerns. I don't concern myself with it because what I do know is that change is a constant of the universe. And as long as you're looking and willing to adapt to change and find avenues of approach, that everything you'll be able to recover. You can always recover. So I don't have a fear of it. Now, there is a certain standard of living that I want to have, so I will do the work necessary. I will increase my vibration to ensure I get there. But I don't live in fear of what may happen through the journey of getting there. And if you get over that fear, then you can open that first chakra. And when you do that, you start to know you. You start to know who you are. You start to grow. You start to develop. Right? You start to be able to look at situations and know this is good for me and this is not good for me. You don't have to worry about people. You don't have to worry about what people say or do. And then after that, because I think somebody's about to come over here to the lounge, but we're going to see. I began to talk to the group and I said, okay, after you get past your fears, and trust me, it's a lot of work. The next thing is that you have shame. To open up that second chakra, you've been made to feel shameful by outside society of different things you've done in your past. And the thing about that shame is you have to forgive them and realize that whatever thing you've done, it wasn't because you purposely tried to hurt anyone or hurt yourself. You were enjoying yourself. It was a part of you just saying to yourself that, you know what, especially women are made to feel shameful in their sacral chakra because they may enjoy sex and they may be able to have sex with somebody and not have to be in a committed relationship with that person. But if a woman has too much sex, then she's made to feel shameful. Women are the most sexual creatures on the planet. They have more nerve endings than we do. But yet, hey, beautiful, how you doing? Come on in. I'm doing a live. It's okay. I can keep talking with this young lady who just walked in the door. But women are made to feel shameful for the most part because they may be in tune with their sexuality. And that's an outside thing. If you are a sexual being, I know she's smiling over there because I said that. If you are a sexual being, to get over that shame, one of the first things you have to do is to admit and accept that is who you are. And if that's who you are, love it, enjoy it. Who gives two rats' asses about what the outside world thinks? Because at the end of the day, let me ask you this question. At the end of the day, and I want you to think about it. When you die, does the outside world go with you? When you're at home and you're in your bed, is the outside world with you? The outside world has absolutely no determination as to how you should feel about the things that you like doing. As long as I said in another video, as long as what you enjoy doing doesn't inhibit or hurt another person or prevent them from being able to enjoy themselves, you should feel no shame. Now, another one, trifling is still trifling. Yeah, people can be trifling. But another thing about it, and a lot of people face this, I've had to face this myself personally, a lot of people are molested or raped in their life. And the stupidest damn thing in creation is the fact that the outside world will make that person, the victim, feel ashamed of what happened. Especially those who go so far as, how did you put yourself in a position to allow that to happen? That's the worst kind. But when things happen to you that you had no part in, why should you be made to feel ashamed? There were people who tried to make me feel ashamed of the fact that my gyms, I wound up having to sell my gyms and close them down because they didn't work. Well, that business failed. Did you not see the economic disaster of the freaking dot-com bubble burst and the housing market crashing? A whole bunch of people. That was something outside of my control. Hey, butterfly. Okay. So that was outside of my control. So one, you're a poor human if you make people feel ashamed of something that happened that was outside of their control. That they're just a circumstance of the causation of something else. You know, we talk about the laws of cause and effect on this channel. There is no such thing as luck, chance, or miracle. There is only causation that you don't know. But for every cause, there is an effect, and for every effect, there is a cause. A business may fail because of this COVID thing, and people not going out and people not doing whatever. Is that the person's fault? So why would you make them feel ashamed of that? So anything that you feel ashamed of, ask yourself the question: are you feeling ashamed because you've internalized it through your conditioning of growing up and being taught that if this happens or that happens, or you like this or like that, then you should feel ashamed of it? Has your religion taught you that if you have sex with somebody and you're not legally married to that person, then you should feel ashamed? Why? Did you enjoy it? Did they enjoy it? Why should you feel ashamed of it? And then if somebody forced themselves on you, as the victim, why should you feel ashamed? People shouldn't make you feel ashamed. They should be ashamed of themselves. Because then if you're a kind of person, so that's the thing, if you're the kind of person that does that to people, you need to stop. You need to stop because that's shameful on you. And if we open our sacral chakra, the way to do that is to get rid of shame. Is to realize that you have a right to enjoy life in any way that you choose to enjoy it, as long as you're not inhibiting somebody else from enjoying their life. Beyond that, it is, you should never feel ashamed for things happening to you that you didn't cause. It was not your fault. So let that shit go. The last one we talked about last night was your power chakra. We didn't go through all of them. I'm not going to go through all of them on here because now that Butterfly's here, I have to give her my attention. Yes, I do. I can't see none of their faces, and you're prettier than them. Plus, it's bad customer service, and you know better than that. You know I'm not that guy. But the last one we talked about is guilt. And guilt is probably the most difficult thing for a person to get over. Because guilt doesn't come because of the outside world. Guilt comes because of your inside world. Guilt comes because of how you feel about mistakes that you've made, how you feel about life decisions that you've made. There was the show Lucifer. And I know some people gonna wig out because I mentioned that show, but I don't care. It's one of my favorite shows. Well, in the show Lucifer, there was, I think it's either second or third season when Cain is in it. And Lucifer mentions that Cain mentioned that hell is all about guilt. Hell is all about you being in a guilt loop, right? And being in that guilt loop, you don't go to heaven, you go to hell because you're carrying guilt. So if anybody's carrying guilt, you're going to hell, basically is what they're saying. Any guilt at the time of your death. Now the problem is because when you're carrying guilt, you don't feel like you deserve anything greater. You may lie and say to yourself in the front of your brain that you deserve this, you deserve that, you deserve this, you deserve that. But if you're carrying around guilt, your true brain, your subconscious brain, which is the thing that is going to determine what happens when you leave this existence, your ass is going to hell because you're carrying some guilt. Because you don't think you deserve anything greater. And this is not basic little guilts here and there. This is like major guilts. Like for me for a long time, because I was thinking the best thing I can do as a father for my children is to build an empire that they can then have opportunities that I didn't have as a kid. But during their formative years, those preteen and teenage years, I was living in the back of my store. I was working, 16, 17 hours a day. I gave up my car, so I didn't get to see them as much, spend as much time being a in-their-face father. I mean, we're on the phone, we video chatting. I saw them every other weekend. I would still go get them, and we would do things. But then they start working as teenagers, so I started feeling really, really guilty about the fact that I wasn't as present in my children's life as I felt that I should have been. And even to the point where later on, after that 6-year period, I asked him, I was like, as a father, what would you most like for me to build, provide for you, have for you? And all them 3 little jokers said was, your time. Your time. I was so focused on building economics for them, I forgot that my kids really just wanted my time. So I felt really guilty about that for about a week. And I say only about a week, not to be funny. I say only about a week simply because I know how damaging guilt can be. That if you feel guilt, that power chakra will shut down. But in the show Lucifer, after Cain had explained that hell is all about guilt and he's learned how to release his guilt from killing his brother Abel, Lucifer says the funny thing about hell is that the door is never locked. That these people are existing in this hell loop, and there's a few episodes later they show people in a hell loop and they're reliving the most guilty thing, all the things they felt guilty about. They're reliving it over and over again, and so they're stuck in hell. But he said that the doors are never locked. that you can always leave hell the moment that you begin to forgive yourself for whatever you're making yourself feel guilty about. And I thought that episode and further episodes down the line that repeated that trope were so poignant because it is one of the most truest statements in existence. That the hell that you may be living in right now, the hell that you may be putting yourself through, and mind you, your outside can be looking good. You could be making some great money. You could be going on vacations, doing a great life. You can have a husband, wife. You could be doing all these things that's looking good, but your ass is walking around and you got this guilt that's inside of you. So you're not having as great a life as you could have. You're not making as much money as you could have. You're not as free as you could be because you are still carrying around some levels of guilt. And as long as you're carrying around these levels of guilt, you're never going to reach your higher conscious mind. I know there are people walking around that saying that, yes, I have the Christ mind, the Buddha head. I'm a hierophant. I'm an adept. I'm a master. I'm a guru. I'm free. I'm one with the astral plane. They're saying all this stuff. You carrying around any guilt. It's just like any river that flows. If there's a blockage, a dam, all the water can't flow. And some of the water that's flowing is carrying around some of this nastiness. So if you got that guilt blocking your power chakra, when that energy flows upward to your heart chakra, and yeah, you met this new lady, she fine, she beautiful, she treats you right, she's the love of your life. And y'all get together and everything seems great and you seem like you're pretty happy and happiness is pretty much rolling pretty well. But the negative portions of the guilt energy that you have in your power chakra, as that energy flows to your heart chakra, you're not as loving as you could be. You're not as giving as you could be. You're not giving acts of service to the level that you could be giving them. Basically, you're not being the greatest version of yourself to this new love that you have in your life simply because some of the negative energy from your guilt is flowing into that love. And therefore, it may be great compared to that person or that person, but it is far from the true greatness that you actually have inside you. And therefore, if it's not, you can't truly open up all your chakras and reach that higher plane of existence. If it's not, you truly can't know yourself to the degree that you should know yourself. So therefore, the level of happiness that you could actually have is not there. You try to manifest things in your life, they manifest to a certain degree, but you never get past the glass ceiling simply because you still carrying around a little bit of guilt. So you have to forgive yourself. The moment that I forgave myself from not spending as much time with my kids is the moment that I started vibrating higher on the scale of relationship with my children. And after all these years of us having some traditions, now we have a lot more traditions. For instance, want something simple. My kids know a Marvel movie come out, superhero movie come out. That's what we do. We go together. That's our time to go watch this movie, hang out, have some dinner, talk to each other. With my son, I realized I was always talking to him about life lessons. Well, through that conversation that I had with him, I realized that me talking to him about life lessons all the time was deteriorating our relationship. So now we just call. And I forced myself to watch anime movies and all that kind of stuff so that I'm showing interest in what he's interested in. So my relationship with my kids now, they're all adults, 26, 22, and 21. And now I have a new 15-year-old in my life from a blended situation. But it is the point of showing them time, giving them time at the current level that they're at. I can't go back and get the time of, playing sports with my kids or doing things that they were into when they was teenagers. Now it's about what they are right now. And I don't feel any guilt about what happened in the past. I did what I thought was best. I did what I thought would bring them the most happiness, and it has had its benefits. One of my daughters needed a root canal. I can afford it, and her dentist is not her her insurance ain't paying for it. So that $4,500, Simone. But I am thrilled that I could pay that bill so that my daughter doesn't have to go through the pain of trying to figure it out and pay for it herself, or just not getting it done. So, but I told people last night, got some tobacco in my mouth, that you want to get rid of your guilt. You want to forgive yourself, because you can't open up the rest of your chakras and reach that higher plane of understanding until you truly, truly, truly forgive yourself. And that really means letting go of it, seeing it for what it really was or really is. You know, what was it really? There are relationships that I was a part of that I got into. I know I should have never gotten into those relationships. Those persons wind up having their emotions hurt. I felt guilty about it for a little bit. But I realized just as equally as I allowed myself to get involved in that relationship when I already had a preset idea of what I wanted to do in that part of my life, at that time frame of my life, concerning relationships, that person also willingly got into a relationship after I told them that this is all I really want in a relationship. After I told them, this is who I am. These are the things I like. These are the things I don't like. These are my deal breakers. I'm going to move to Africa at some point in my life here in the next 5 to 10 years, depending upon what time frame I'm talking about, talking to the person. I'm not going to live in America. I refuse to. I will never get a job. I will always own a business. So these are the things that happens for persons who own a business. These are the hours. This is all you have to go through. I expressed damn near everything in the first 2-3 conversations about who I am and what my expectations are. And if a person still decides to get into a relationship with me after they understand that and know what my expectations are, because I will tell them, if you demonstrate to me that you are this person that fits into my categories, but then later on, when your representative leaves and your true self shows itself and you don't fit those categories into my what I have to have, then I will separate myself from you. I can't feel guilty about that because they walked in it with their eyes wide open. It is not for me to force them to have their eyes open. It's not my responsibility. So any guilt that I felt about those situations ending, I didn't. I let them go. I forgave myself for allowing me to get involved with them, but sometimes you don't know. I've had people demonstrate to me exactly what I'm looking for in a woman for over a year. And then all of a sudden it's like, nope, that's not me. And I'm not in those relationships anymore because I refuse to live a life unhappy. I refuse to live a life stressed or anything of that nature. So therefore I couldn't do it. And I don't feel guilty about it at all. I really don't. I feel no guilt whatsoever. None. And let me do one more. Sorry, I lied. I'm doing one more. Let me do one more. The reason why I'm going to say I'm going to do one more, I'm going to talk about your heart chakra real quick. The reason why is because there's an understanding that your foundation chakra, your sacral chakra, and your power chakra leads to your heart chakra. From the heart chakra below is the matter plane of existence. It all deals with things here. Within the heart is where we take that 90-degree turn to open up to our spiritual plane. Right? So if you understand the Hermetic law of correspondence, as above, so below, then you, in a deeper thought process of that, there are different levels of existence. There's the physical plane, the matter plane, the physical plane, the mental plane, and the spiritual plane. Okay? So there are different planes of existence. Within the chakra system, there are different planes of existence. Below the heart is the physical. From the heart, we turn into the mental before we get to the third eye, which we make another turn into the spiritual. So from the mental to the spiritual. As I said before, your heart chakra is blocked by the fact that you have had lost love. and you have not opened yourself up to new love. And the reason why there's a turn there, the Eightfold Path is a good place to start for a person. Yes, the Buddhist tradition of the Eightfold Path is a great way. The only thing I don't like about it is that it tells you that you have to get rid of desire. Getting rid of desire is an impossibility because you'll have the desire to get rid of desire. Therefore, you can never truly get rid of desire. But the lessons of the Eightfold Path can and will help a person to vibrate to the point where, just like you said, you get to enlightenment, nirvana. You know, the prana is the breathing in, the nirvana is the breathing out, the peace. But you have to have both the prana and the nirvana. You know, the breathing in and the breathing out. If you breathe in and you hold it for too long, that lactic acid builds up and you start to feel like you're suffering, like you're drowning. But the release, which goes into that heart chakra, it is that release. You love somebody. They loved you. Everything was great. I was doing good. How the hell did it end? And what happens? You start carrying around fear, guilt, and shame about that lost love. And as long as you carry around the fear, the shame, and the guilt from that lost love, you can never open up your heart to attract new love, to be ready for new love. My kids' mom, not mothers, mom, high school sweethearts. 9th grade, French class, second period, she walked in the door. I said, that girl gonna be mine. Now, at that time frame, did I think that she was gonna become my wife and the kids and all that? No. I just knew she was gonna be my girlfriend. All right. Took me about 3 months, but she became a girlfriend. We dated for the majority of high school, had some hiccups here and there, got married at 19, married for 17 years. When we got divorced, and it was my fault, when we got divorced, I literally felt and thought my whole life was over. I went into levels of depression that I've never experienced before. All the shit that the Marine Corps threw at me and put me in did not even compare to the mental and physical anxiety that I went through with that divorce. And it were things that happened in the Marine Corps that propagated, moved everything towards divorce. I wonder if I can get that service connected. But it is part of my PTSD though. After that, I was afraid to give anybody my heart again. I was afraid to allow myself to fall into that level of love with anybody ever again. Because I did not want to risk someone else being in a position that if things don't work, I would be devastated to that degree. So although I did get married a couple of times more, I've been married 3 times. Although I did get married, although I did have some relationships that lasted a while, I was in relationships with people that I knew it would never work out anyway. Like when I look back at my past of the different people that I was in a relationship with, I can sit here right now and admit that each one of them, within the first 2 weeks, actually demonstrated, even two of them that played the role very well for a year, but there were red flags, as we like to say, that would have told me that this relationship won't work. And I had to realize that there was a part of me that was saying, as long as they have something like that in them, I know that I will never truly give them all my heart. And you would have to know me to know that this is true. Butterfly may be able to say it off camera. The amount of my heart that I am willing to give a person, the amount of consideration that I have for people in general, the amount of acts of service and care that I will give a person is truly enough to make most women happy. Like my first level of love is freaking phenomenal for most women, because my first level of love is far greater than most of the damn dudes that I see on a daily basis. When I listen to these guys talk and I listen to the things they say, you know, most of these jokers are kind of selfish. Let's say like sexually. Most of these jokers just trying to get theirs. They could care less about her getting hers. Most of these jokers do not contemplate uh, things like that I do. Like I'm not great at giving gifts, in my opinion. Although most women think that I am, but I put in my calendar when I need to give a gift. And it can't, because I don't think about gifts. I'm thinking about work, business, money. I'm thinking about, does she have everything that she needs financially? Have we been on dates? Is she feeling loved? Go home. Let me give her a massage, even without her asking about it. Let me just take care of things throughout the day. Let me send her notes during the day. Let me send her texts saying that, I miss you or whatever. I'm like that guy doing all this stuff on the norm. That ain't even me showing my true full level of love. That's just me just showing my base level. But that base level keeps me safe. And I realized some of these people I dated, they didn't stand a chance in hell of ever truly becoming my wife. Because they didn't stand a chance in hell in me ever giving them my whole heart. Giving them everything, my full energy. It's unfair. But it was self-protection from keeping me from being able to be devastated like I was before. So over the last couple of years here, I've realized when I thought that my heart was fully open, that my heart was not. And it's only been over these last few years that my heart has really, truly been fully open. Have I made the best decisions? I'm going to say there's a couple of them, no. But I have a better and deeper understanding now. I have a better mind for the things that are not exactly. So in any relationship, the Tyler Perry 80-20 rule is bullshit. The true 80-20 rule is that 20% of the things within a relationship is going to give you 80% of your happiness. And as long as they don't, that's what's going to give you most of your happiness. Now, there are 20% of the things that will be deal breakers for you. So it's a combination of the two. You have to ensure that the person doesn't exhibit that 20% that's deal breakers for you. But recognize that only 20% of who they are is going to make you happy and give you 80% of your results. That other 20% that you're not really happy about the person, if it's not deal breakers, if it's not one of the deal breakers, that's a good person. That's a good match for you. It really is. Like, one deal breaker for me is a messy house. Can't do it. Sorry. Messy, unkept house, not going to do it at all. Physical violence, not doing it. Raise your hand at me, we done. What else is deal breaker? I know you ain't paying me no attention over there, but like, I have a few deal breakers. Don't want to live in America for the rest of your life is a deal breaker for me. I'm not living here. Can't do it. Not doing it. Can I delay my departure from here if you have a child that's in high school and you want to let them finish high school? Sure. If you have a child that's in elementary, hell no, I'm not staying here that long. Right? So, as long as a person doesn't exhibit those deal breakers, some of the other things about them that I may not care for, it's something to work through. But the question is, even if they never change that, is that something that I still have to have? That I still, is it going to bother me to the point where we can't have a relationship? Well, it's not a deal breaker, so no. So therefore, I should be able to give my entire heart to that person. And when a person has demonstrated who they are and who they truly are for long enough, then I'm willing to give my entire heart to them. Then that will demonstrate that my heart chakra is wide open. It's completely open because, one, I've gotten rid of the fear of what would happen if the relationship ended and how devastated would I be. I'm not living in that fear anymore. So it's not blocked. So my heart won't be blocked by fear. Okay. I'm not ashamed of the fact that I've been married 3 times. And some people like to look at me crazy. Whoa, been married 3 times? Yeah, but you're sitting in a marriage where you're miserable. Oh, great. You've been married for 30, 40 years, but neither one of y'all are happy. To me, you're stupid. I'm not living my life like that. No. So I don't feel shame. When people try to shame me about that, I don't give a shit. I'm looking to find that happiness that is just like super beautiful. Yeah, there's gonna be some hiccups here and there, but I'm not living in misery where every day, like, there are people who come to this cigar lounge and they stay here. They get mad at me when I kick them out at 12 midnight because they don't want to go home. She probably sleep. He probably sleep, but they don't want to go home. Shit. I expect to be in a relationship where, yeah, I have my time that I do stuff on my own, but I'm not trying to stay somewhere simply because I don't want to go home. At the end of the day, I want to go home. I want to roll up under my woman and cuddle and, do what we gonna do and then breathe our bad breath to each other in the morning, the whole deal. Let me get that crust bug out your eye, girl. All right, we good. So I'm not feeling shameful. I don't carry guilt around about things that I've done, mistakes that I've made. I'm not carrying around that guilt. I forgive myself. And that opens me up to be able to truly love somebody. But more importantly, that opens me up so that I can know who I am more so that I'm not telling lies to myself about who I am, and I know myself. That's your throat chakra. You tell lies to yourself. And that I can see that all things are connected and all things flow together and everything in the universe is connected. So that I can then release any and all earthly attachments and truly develop into the Godhead that I have inside me and connect to all different planes of the universe and truly be a little G in my own right, because the little G comes from the big G. But that's what we're going to end on today. I appreciate you guys for being here. Especially, that's what I know because you communicated, you talked. So y'all have a good day. And as I always say in my long form videos that I have on YouTube, please go join my YouTube channel. It's my first and last name, Lorenzo, Larenzoreid. Lorenzo Reed on YouTube. And as I always say on YouTube, you got to know yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable.